Now, part of this collection from K & Company, this paper collection, it's a Brenda Walter collection, and it has these extra little charms and gadgets that go with it. So I wasn't quite sure which ones I wanted to use. So I thought, well, I would wait and see what one I put. That's kind of pretty like that. The bird's kind of pretty. Of course, knowing that whatever I put on the front is going to add weight and dimension, I want to make sure that I'm not going to have any. And that little butterfly there is kind of pretty too. I think I'll kind of go with that. I think I like that butterfly. So these are sticky on the back, and they are really strong. So I'm just going to push that in the corner, and we have our little bauble there, and that's done and ready to go there. And that part's done. So I'll just set these aside. One last thing I want to show you on this video is what I do with the binding. Remember, we've got the black here, and you could take paper or whatever you would like. But what I'm going to take is this tape, again by Tom Holtz, and it's sticky. It's not as sticky as I would like. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to press it on the edge. Again, like I said, it's not as sticky as I would like. I'm a little bit generous with it here because I can come back and trim it and just kind of smooth it off. When I did my book, I was kind of hoping that this would be done with this step, but it's not, because it's just not strong enough to form the binding. So what I did with it is I just put it down as best as I can here and smooth it out. Then I'll turn my book over and do the same from the back side, meeting as close to the middle as I can. It's not quite wide enough to reach in the middle, but you'll see with the finished project that it still ends up being quite lovely. And you don't really see these well anyway by the time we finish off our book, but it's a good start here. And I just kind of overlap it here. It does overlap. I didn't think it did. I still want to put one more piece, because even though it overlaps, it just barely overlaps. And I think we need more overlap than that, just for safety and stability. Again, it's not strong enough, so we're going to have to play with it and do a little bit more with it to make sure that it's nice and strong. Its purpose was, it's not designed, it's decorative. It's not designed to hold the binding of a book together. So I'll have to, there's my end, find that in there. So then right down the center where those are meeting or not meeting, however the case may be, I will add my third strip of tape. Again, it still won't stick, and that's okay, because the next step will make it stick. But of course it has to go overnight to finish up. It does adhere to itself better. There we go. So then I'll go back through and I'll just trim it all off, make it look pretty. And then what I will do is I'm going to take some Mod Podge, old decoupaging tape. And what I will do is I will go over the top of that. It's white and milky, but it dries clear. So when we come back, I'll show you how to do that, and a few other steps, and our book is, believe it or not, getting pretty close to being finished already. Thanks. Okay, everybody, before I go on to show you how to finish off the outside of the book, there are a few more things I want to work on the inside. I want to show you my book because I'm going to do this one a little bit different, but I want to show you some of the things that you can do with it. I've already started journaling in mine, And you'll notice that the edges of the pages are pretty beat up, using different color box, distress pad or ink pads, chalk pads, and different just ink pads that I had. And I want to show you how to do that on my book, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do on this book. I've done several different things in my book. I went through, and like Yoli on her video showed us, I crinkled up the pages, and I'll show you how to do that in just a second. And then on some of the pages, I took my ink pad, whichever one I might use, and I just went over the whole top. On other ones of them, I just went around the edges. I was getting pretty bored by the time I got a little ways into the book, so I started mixing it up and having some fun with it. Now, I did this for a few sections, and what I mean by section is between the printed pages here. I did that for a few sections. And then every once in a while, I would choose a section between page, printed page to printed page, such as this section, and I didn't crinkle it. And the reason I chose not to do that on some of the sections is because as the book grows and we fill it up with our different items, whether it's our journaling doesn't take up much room, but when I put in, see, like here I have a pocket that has some receipts and my boarding pass for my flight, because this is talking about our vacation, and a ticket for a concert that we went to. As I start adding these things, the pages get bulkier and bulkier. So every once in a while, I mean, this one I have a whole small book stapled in using my tiny attacher from Tim Holtz. So every once in a while, I want a section that isn't having extra bulk added by having crinkly pages. So how it's very simple to do, and actually it's kind of fun. It brings out your inner child, I guess, your messy child, inner child. I'll come back to a section that I haven't done. You do want to be somewhat careful with this because the paper, the notebook paper inside is rather thin, and you want to be able to not rip up your paper. But you just kind of crinkle it up, crunch it up and crinkle it up, then open it back out and smooth it out. Now let's see, I think I'll use my, let's go with this blue here. Kind of matches the page next to it. And once I've got it all smoothed out, what I'm going to do, and I've learned from experience, you want to go lightly because it's kind of hard to see your journaling if it's too dark. And you see it just kind of picks up some of the high points of your crinkles with the ink. And so that is done on that page. The next page, maybe I would just do the edges. You know, you just play with it, have fun with it, so that when you put your pages together, these two pages I used the Dusty Concord and one of the other distress inks, and while they were still wet, I kind of mashed them together and rubbed them together so that I picked up colors from both inks on both pages. I thought that was kind of fun as I was working in that section. You see here, I did rip the pages a little bit. Obviously, you don't want to do that too much. A few rips don't bother me because you know what? This book is just a fun book, and I'm just having fun with it and playing with it. So that's what I'm going to do on my friend's book as well. Only I decided that for my friend's book, I don't think I'm going to crinkle any of my pages. My friend's not as messy as I am, I don't think. So I just have several of my inks out here. I think we'll start with this. I believe this is creamy brown chalk ink, which is one of my favorite colors. In fact, I was looking yesterday to see if I could get a refill because I know it's going to start running out because I use it so much. But I just lightly go around the edges, inking the edges. I love these cat eyes for this. It makes them so easy. Now, sometimes, as you can see, you've got some of the edge of another page kind of peeking through. I don't worry about it. If it gets a little bit of ink, it gets a little bit of ink. I think it just kind of adds to the dimension and the interest to the book. You know, this book, again, is not about being perfect. I will tell you right now, having already done one journal, this is the most time-consuming process of the whole project. In fact, I'm going to have to really hurry because I need to have my book done by tomorrow. But and as you can see, there's a lot of pages to do, but look how much it adds, just at the difference of having that done on that page compared to just the stark whiteness of that page. It just makes it a little more interesting, a little more fun for my friend as she's doing her journaling. So I'm going to work on that for a little bit, and when I come back I will show you how to finish off the outer edge of the cover. Okay, we are just about finished with the inking. I'm going to ink one more page that I wanted to show you. I kind of had a light bulb aha moment. I'm a little slow. As I mentioned, I use these makeup wedges for my Tim Holtz Distress ink. It's just a little easier to work. But the frustrating part is getting this down this crease. On my next to last section of my book, I got to thinking I can use the wrong side of the crease to get this section. Fits better down in there. Looks better when it's all inked than the big, bold, chunky lines that I was seeing down there. I didn't like the way it was turning out. I wish I would have thought of that at the beginning of the project instead of the end. As soon as I'm done inking this, as you can see, it goes very quickly. It just takes a while when you have both sides of nearly 100 pieces of paper to do. So I've actually been working on it for I think a couple of hours since I turned off the video, with a couple little breaks to do some other things. This is the pumice stone. I also decided I wanted to save these sponges so I don't waste them, and so I went back through my supply drawers and I found some little bags. I think I got embellishments or something in them a long time ago, and I labeled the bags with the different colors of ink pads that I have. This is the pumice stone one, and then it'll be safe. I'll know which one goes with which ink pad when I'm done, and so I have them all nicely labeled, and I'll just keep them with my ink. Sometimes being a hoarder is a good thing. So I've inked all my pages. I just wanted to run back. I did make some changes from what we talked about before. I did just decide to keep the pages flat. As mentioned, I didn't crinkle them for this book as I did for my previous book, and I just inked the edges. Now some edges, you see what I'm talking about with the wider inner margin, I didn't care for that as much. Other edges I did wide on purpose. I wanted to do almost the whole margin width all the way around the page with the wider strokes. So just mixed it up a little bit. Because it was taking so long and I'm getting short on time, I also I would do 2 sections inking, and then the third section I would leave completely blank. So if the recipient in my book wants to just doodle, or maybe she wants to get some ink pads and ink them, she can, but every third section is blank. So that means I had 3 sections that ended up being blank. Saved me a little bit of time. The other interesting thing I wanted to show you is, as I mentioned before, as say I'm inking this page, sometimes it slips and I catch the corner or the edge of the page below it. And then the ink continues to build, and I don't know if you can see it well, but it gives this kind of neat inked edge on the underside pages here. Just kind of adds some extra dimension. It's not planned. It just works out that way, and again, I don't mind it. I like kind of what it adds to the pages when it does do that. It doesn't do it all the time, just on some of the pages it did. So that has all of our inking done.